Amid Nigeria's ongoing challenges of corruption, insecurity, and poor governance, the church is expected to play a vital role in shaping the country's future. With its moral influence over millions, the church can advocate for transparency, hold leaders accountable, and challenge injustice. The church also encourages civic engagement by educating Nigerians on their rights and the importance of voting, fostering greater participation in democratic processes. Through social justice initiatives, it also supports vulnerable communities, urging the government to prioritize welfare. Sociologists and theologists also believe that the church's spiritual leadership shapes values and promotes integrity and selflessness in both citizens and leaders. Now, with the church occupying such a huge space within the Nigerian society, its impact is difficult to deny. Joining us now for Newsday for a chat on the role of the church in ensuring good governance in Nigeria is Presiding Bishop, the Redeemed Evangelical Mission, popularly known as TREM, Mike Okonkwo. Thank you so much for joining us on the show this afternoon.
Thank you, Awa and Kachi.
Absolutely.
And thank you for having me. And also, viewers, thank you. Good afternoon.
Thank you. Now, let's begin with a very pivotal one. At 80, if we do the math, you were about 15 years when Nigeria gained its independence. How would you assess the government and progresses that have been made, evolutions from progressive presidents between then and now?
Well, I would say that we, as a nation, we've taken a few strides, but unfortunately, it's in the present day, it's a downward trend we are moving into, because that's not what was expected when we had our independence. So a lot of changes have taken place, and we just trusting that we will begin to come out of the woods, as it were, at this present moment.
And, the state of Nigeria as it is right now, the nation, the current government is being blamed for the way things are running in terms of the economy and insecurity, et cetera, and the hardship. Do you share the sentiments that some in the country have?
Well, it would be wrong to put the whole blame on the present government, because we've had subsequent governments who have not been able to deal with the real issue in the country. I mean, it couldn't have been the 2 years of Tinubu's administration that we are having this level of insecurity and this level of economic downturn and all kinds of things that is making Nigerians to cry about. But the truth remains that a lot of issues that could have been dealt with earlier, like restructuring the country and ensuring a level playing ground for every person in this country. This is one of the things, and I keep on wondering why it had been very difficult for the subsequent governments to deal with it. As a matter of fact, I am praying and trusting that it's one of the things the Tinubu administration should handle. Put the country in a position where every person will have the right to do, to be able to live comfortably in any part of the country, to vote and to see their votes counted, and then to be able to live and be secured wherever they are. So I will not put the whole blame on this present administration. I don't share that view.
That's a very valid point, not placing the blame on this present administration, but you would agree that a lot of the challenges that we are facing as a nation now would be an accumulated problem, accumulated cases that have been mismanaged in terms of resources that we have had as a nation. But considering that the onus now lies on the present administration to begin the steps that will take us out of these issues, first, how would you assess what they've done so far in what they have now tagged as the Renewed Hope agenda? And secondly, are there other alternatives you also think they could consider on ways to take us or take Nigeria out of the current state that we are in as it pertains to poverty and the standard of living for the people?
Well, one of the things I think they should do is to show the people that they are serious about the turning around of our economy, like reducing the excesses in the government. There are lots and lots of excesses that are unnecessary. For instance, I would not subscribe to buying vehicles to those who are in the National Assembly for the sum of 160 million. For what? There are vehicle manufacturing companies in our nation who could have been where we could have bought even lesser view and also encourage them to be on top of their game. But rather we choose to move the lean resources we have to other foreign countries. That's one aspect. And some of the supposed renovation of buildings and many other things. Think of up till now, in spite of the economic downturn, we're still having long convoys by politicians, local government chairmen, and not even to talk about the president, local government chairmen, the members of National Assembly, long convoys with the high cost of electricity. There are many things that they could do. So I think that that's one of the reasons why Nigerians are crying out. You can't be telling us to tighten our belts, and we are not tightening. You are not tightening your own. They are seeing extravagance in the highest place in a dimension that has never been seen. So there are things that should be done. Those in governance must understand they are there to serve the people and not to lord it over them and then display and intimidate them with their wealth. I mean, that's not acceptable at all.
And I want to move into a lane that you're more comfortable and familiar with, religious leaders. What role do you believe religious leaders should be playing in this political climate? Should they be actively endorsing political candidates or parties? Are there any benefits of doing so? And beyond prayers and sermons, what concrete actions can the church take to promote good governance, accountability, and justice within Nigeria? And how can the church mobilize their members to be more responsible citizens and be held more accountable?
I think the church should be more proactive when it comes to political issues. What has happened over the years is that we told our congregation that the politics is a dirty game. And it's only in the recent years that we now began to make the people know that they have to, as a civic responsibility, be involved in political issues. And but a lot of us have not even arrived there yet. But we are on that road to making them know that if you are not involved and be seen to be involved, not just having a voter's card. The issue is that people you don't expect are going to govern you, rule you, and then they are not going to adopt your policies, more especially if they don't have anything to offer. So the church must go back to drawing board and make sure that the electorate are, because since we deal with more of the grassroots, are educated. They have political understanding, what it entails and what it means when you don't carry a voter's card, the things you will suffer. And if you don't do the right thing, then you have no reason, no right to complain. That's one aspect. Number two is that many times I've also put the problem at the feet of the church, in the sense that the church have a responsibility to let the people know that Christianity does not end up only within the four walls of the church. We are supposed to carry our faith into wherever the marketplace we find ourselves in. The truth is that a lot of people are just simply religious but not willing to live the life. And so there must be more emphasis on the moral lives of our people. Make them know. Because when you think in terms of corruption, you will notice that a lot of people who engage in this corruption are Moses, Mary, Martha, and John. And they attend our churches. I mean, we should be embarrassed about that and then know that we have a responsibility and not just enough to blame the government. So I believe that we have more to do than just complaining.
I couldn't agree more with you. Clearly, complaining is not going to solve our issues. What would you also say, with regards to that blanket statement of everybody has a role to play? Realistically speaking, as a pastor, I'm sure one of the major foundations on which the church is built on is welfare, kindness and looking after the less vulnerable. How do you now juxtapose that with telling people, the average Nigerian who goes to the church, you have a lot of work to do when they can barely feed, when they have probably not had a meal to eat? What exactly are they supposed to do if, literally speaking, every single time they vote, it ends up in the same situation of extreme poverty or disenfranchisement, or not even being taken serious in the sense of what democracy is, which is government of the people, for the people, and by the people? What is the average Nigerian literally then supposed to do?
I think that we should be more vocal to speaking truth to power. Because I don't think that we are spoken as we should, as those that are supposed to be, guiding the moral conscience of our nation. And that's why I keep saying that I trust that Tinubu's government, if that's the only legacy they can give to this country, if that's the only legacy that President Tinubu should give to this country, is to ensure a thorough electoral reform, because our electoral system is still shrouded with a lot of challenge, and that's why the votes of the people are not counted. It's true, the votes are not counting. In fact, people are getting discouraged and disgruntled to the fact that they say that the votes are already written and all that, and a lot of people don't even care about voting, and yet we are all suffering it. So I think that more truth to be spoken to the power, maybe the church will come as one voice and speak truth to the government that, look, we need this reform. We should stop playing to the gallery. Let there be a reform of our electoral system. And let there be independence of the judiciary. Let there be also the independence of the judiciary. Let there be independence of the three arms of the government. Because what we are having now is total confusion. So I think that should be made clear and for the government to understand that the present arrangement we have is no longer acceptable.
And if you could chart a new course for Nigeria for the next 20 years, what would be the top three priorities that you would need to ensure that the country achieves its full potential?
One is that we must have a system, if it is restructuring or whatever term they give to it that we need, it should be done. You see, okay, look at the present circumstance in the country, which I have cried about severally, about the fact that the arrangement presently is that it is like North and South are divided. The North is divided. The North is saying that just 2 years into Tinubu's administration that they are being marginalized when they have actually ruled the country for over 45 years. And now they are saying in effect, except we rule, we are not going to, Tinubu is not coming back. For me, irrespective of the challenges of Tinubu's administration, it's not that mentality is not acceptable. Where you think that you are the only one qualified to rule the country. Oh, that's not right. And so if the country is restructured, I think this type of situation will no more arise. Let every state develop at its own pace and let the governors be seen to be working. The governors should go and be creative, have idea, bring about ideas that will generate resources in their various states. For instance, Nigeria is highly endowed with human resources, with economic resources. Almost every state can thrive if we have the right type of governance in all these states. But what we are having is that a situation where everyone is copying the hands going to the federal government. And the center should also be decentralized, make it unattractive, so that everyone should go to a state and work. Politicians should not see politics as a place to amass wealth. It's a place where you are called to serve the people, so that Nigerians can begin to receive the benefits and dividends of democracy. As it stands now, we are just dancing around, and I don't see us arriving anywhere.
That's quite unfortunate, you see. I would also like us to speak on the state of insecurity in Nigeria. You know, that is something that I'm also sure is one of the top prayer points every time we pray for our country, Nigeria. What's your assessment on how the government is handling the state of insecurity, both on the state and the federal level, considering that we found a lot of governors make statements such as they are not the chief security officers, you know, and there's only a limit to what they can do. We've also found some others almost appealing to the federal government to intervene in issues in their own state that they are responsible for. What's your assessment on how it's been handled so far?
I think it has been muted about the importance of state police. And I don't know why we have been pulling punches as far as that is concerned. I think it's part of the restructuring of the country. That when there is thorough and, true federalism, that will be obtainable. But so that's one of the challenges. And talking about insecurity in the country, honestly speaking, I don't know why it has been very difficult at this time of technology, where you can use technology to really locate those who are causing all this mayhem, killing of people that has become the order of the day in our nation. I still don't understand whether it's borders on the will of the people in governance. Is there something they are not telling Nigerians? Because if in the past we have been able to have this done, why now? Why is it now that the Nigeria security system, armed forces, who were able to deal ruthlessly with deal ruthlessly with the insurgents in Sierra Leone, insurgents in Liberia, and also were able to help people in the apartheid South Africa. We can't deal with the issues in our country with the level of technology we have. Something is wrong somewhere, and I think that somebody should tell us exactly what it is. I don't know what it is.
And the anti-Nigerian sentiment is growing in some of these countries as well. But let's focus on back home and get your temperature on opposition politics. A lot has been discussed about the fact that there is no opposition to the current APC leading party. And of course, a new coalition has been formed by what some call strange combination of bedfellows. That is the ADC. In leadership, the true test of leadership in the new party, especially with the national chairman of the party, is to see whether or not the opposition can control the upspringing of godfathers and such. How difficult will it be to unite opposition leaders when their personal ambition and competition govern their behavior? And also, what do you make of this opposition party that is growing in the nation?
As far as I'm concerned, like I said, despite the challenges of the present administration, the opposition is not serious as far as I'm concerned. Because if your vision, because what I hear from the media is that we must remove Tinubu. If that's the only reason why you came together, it's already dead on arrival. That means you have no program for Nigerians. We were going to, What's the use of removing President Tinubu when you cannot offer something better? As far as I'm concerned, as long as you don't have anything to offer other than your interest is to remove President Tinubu, then let Tinubu do 8 years. I don't personal view, I don't subscribe to that. What have you to offer as opposition? Remove Tinubu, Tinubu must go. And then when he goes, what happens? What will you offer? Those who are in opposition, let's say a few of them, or a few amongst them, are those who have been in the government all along, the PDP, the APC, or AD, or whatever they were called in those days. So what new things will you offer? You've been in government, what did you give to us as people in the governance? So for me, I'm not taking them serious.
I like that you spoke about the politicking of 2027, because we are going to see that happen significantly moving forward. But now I want us to talk about the people, the private sector. Do you think there's a role that people within the private sector have to play in improving the lives of Nigerians? There's so many successful people who, despite the challenges within Nigeria, have been able to thrive in their private sectors, whether it's in the creative industry, it's in tech, it's in energy, it is in finance. They've been able to build a sustainable life and structure for their businesses and themselves, creating more job opportunities. Now, looking away from the politicking and the corruption within our governance system and the hope that, one day it will get better, focusing now on the private sector, do you think there is a role that the private sector can play in improving the situation in our country and the lives of other Nigerians?
Absolutely. Because at the end of the day, they benefited from Nigeria. They benefited a great deal. I mean, a lot of them have received a lot of, the exemptions in their businesses. And then think of those. I've also asked one question. Those of them who have oil wells, who are located oil wells in the country. I don't know what they are doing. Is it just for them to pay tax or some money? I don't see any reason why anyone who is allocated anything which is the commonwealth of the country of Nigerians, or who has benefited in any way, should not be given responsibility to build hospitals, build schools, modern hospitals in the entire states of the country with the amount of money they have. I mean, what's the use? Some of them have 2 private jets they are flying. Some of them, and that means that they have a lot of money to play with. We should build modern schools. We should build modern hospitals where people can go and not pay money. At times, I weep for a lot of people who are not in a position with the present level of poverty in the country, that when they go to hospitals, people are demanding 300,000 for an operation, 70,000. Somebody who is earning 70,000 naira, how is he going to be able to sustain himself? A lot of people have died who should be living because most of this basic infrastructure and necessities are not there. So the private sector have a lot of things to do in the country. And I think that the government should insist on it, like it is in different parts of the world. And I don't see any reason why they should not do much more than they are doing. You see some of the mansions they build. How many of them will live in these rooms? How many rooms are they going to live in? You get into their garages, some have up to 12. How many cars are you going to drive in a day? It borders on undue waste, because when you get money in that way, you look for what to do with it and you begin to waste it. So I think there is much more they can do.
Very, very well said. And we honestly hope the best for the nation. And thank you so much for joining us this afternoon for this conversation, Bishop Michael Okonkwo, the presiding bishop of Trem. Thank you so much.